are telling me that at a time when Wall Street's recklessness, greed, and illegal behavior brought this country to its knees, that I am going to say to them that they're going to have to start paying their fair share of taxes? Fine. If that's the criticism, I accept it. I demand that Wall Street start paying its fair share of taxes. Second of all,
and what about the idea that you're bringing back the era of big government and making it bigger than ever?
Again, I believe, and Iowa has played a very interesting role in the fight for public education. And for 100+ years, what we have believed public education to be is up to the 12th grade. Free public education up to the 12th grade. Guess what? The world has changed. A college degree today is the equivalent of what a high school degree was 50 years ago. People want to criticize me? Fine. I believe that every kid in this country who has the ability and the desire should be able to get a higher education regardless of the income of his family. And I will pay for that through a tax on Wall Street speculation.
They don't criticize the goal. They criticize the method of how you achieve it. Give me a yes or no on that. Is the era of big government back with President Sanders?
The era of protecting the middle class and working families is certainly something that I will make happen. I believe, for example, that when my Republican colleagues talk about cutting Social Security, I say that when you're living on $12,000 a year Social Security, no, we shouldn't cut it. We should expand Social Security. And we do that by lifting the cap on taxable income. So, Chris, this is what I think. This is what I think. When we live in a nation of so much income and wealth inequality, where the top 1/10 of 1% owns as much wealth as the bottom 90%, when the 20 wealthiest people own more wealth than the bottom half of America, that is not, to me, what the American economy should be about. So yes, people want to criticize me. Okay, I will take on the greed of corporate America and the greed of Wall Street and fight to protect the middle class.
Next question, Ron Edwards says he's undecided. Ron, what's your question for the senator?
Senator, given the ongoing gridlock in Washington and the continuing Republican resistance toward President Obama's initiatives and the likelihood that Republicans will win control over at least one House of Congress, as president, what specifically will you do to overcome the resistance, cure the gridlock, and garner the necessary support to implement your initiatives and actually get something done in Washington?
Great question. Let me answer it, if I might, in two ways. I am probably the most progressive member in the U.S. Senate. But I have, over the years, not only in the Senate, but in the House, worked with Republicans when there was common ground. When I was in the House, in a number of years, I got more amendments passed on the floor of the House working with Republicans than anyone else. I was number one, number two. In the Senate, just a couple of years ago, in a dysfunctional Congress, I worked with people like John McCain, people like Jeff Miller over in the House, to pass the most comprehensive veterans health care legislation in the modern history of the United States of America. I have worked with Republicans when there is common ground throughout my career. But this is what I also want to say. In my view, you have a Congress today that is much more worried about protecting the interests of the wealthy and the powerful and making sure they get campaign contributions from the wealthy and the powerful. If we are serious about rebuilding the American middle class, if we are serious about providing paid family and medical leave to all of our people, if we are serious about ending the disgrace of having so many of our children live in poverty, the real way to do it is to have millions of Americans finally stand up and say enough is enough, for people to get engaged in the political process, to finally demand that Washington represent all of us, not just a handful of very wealthy people. That's the way you bring about real change.
Next question, Alexis Kulash, Drake University student, a Bulldog.